Israel has some crazy new warfare strategies they are using against terrorists, and they just might be working. With over 1,000 soldiers fighting for 48 hours in the densely populated refugee camp of Jenin, there must have been a lot of Palestinian civilians killed in this operation, right? To answer yes would be the accurate answer for any other modern military fighting urban warfare with terrorists. Not so the IDF. Also, stay tuned for a miraculous story that just came in. Breaking news here from Samaria. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. That was the Israeli Police Commissioner Kobi Shabtai responding to a terrorist attack that took place right outside his office in Jerusalem yesterday afternoon. Apparently, an Arab woman tried to stab a security guard with a knife, but was shot before she could carry out her murderous scheme. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. It's great to be back with you this week. What I'm about to talk about stands in contrast to what the mainstream media is spouting off about Israel's recent military operation in Jenin. Israel just accomplished what many high-brass military officials around the world would call a military masterpiece. They might even call it a brilliant accomplishment. First off, before we get into that, I'm going to give you, for those of you who haven't heard, a quick recap of the operation, Israel's mission into the terrorist hotbed of Jenin. The IDF went into the Palestinian city last Monday to oust terrorists who have been making the city their base of operations for many months, even years. So much so that it has actually become a hotbed for terrorism here in Judea and Samaria. This was the largest military operation the IDF has conducted in this region, specifically for the last 20 years. They sent in over 1,000 troops. They killed 12 terrorists, arrested over 120 terror suspects, and seized hundreds of illegal arms and explosives. Unfortunately, tragically, one Israeli soldier, Staff Sergeant David Yehuda Yitzchak from the elite Egoz unit, was actually killed during the mission in Jenin. We can continue to pray for his family. The IDF reported that no Palestinian civilians were killed in this operation. Now, I want you to dwell for a second on the impossibility of that statement. I mean, it's a near impossible statement to say that Israel could go in for a 48-hour operation with 1,000 troops inside the Jenin refugee camp without inadvertently killing civilians that are inside that camp, going in to attack these terrorists, and they did not kill a single Palestinian civilian that they know of, the IDF knows of, inside the Jenin refugee camp. This is an incredible accomplishment. It is also a huge great example of just how good the IDF is in their urban warfare tactics. So much so that even Colonel Richard Kemp, who is actually a former commander of the British military forces in Afghanistan, recently commented on Israel's operation in Jenin. He said that Israel's accomplishment is unprecedented in modern warfare. Colonel Kemp said, "To conduct an operation of such intensity in an urban area without killing any uninvolved civilians at all is a remarkable achievement by the IDF and probably unprecedented in modern warfare. Casualty ratios in most such operations have often been 3 to 5 civilians killed for every fighter. And that is by Western armies that do their best to avoid civilian casualties and adhere to the laws of war. I doubt any other army in the world would be able to achieve what the IDF did in Jenin." What Colonel Richard Kemp is saying is that he doubts if any other army in the world would be able to do this in urban warfare. And this is not even considering that these terrorists deliberately use civilians as human shields, so the IDF will shoot them and then get them condemned by the international community. And by the way, this is not just Kemp's personal view on the IDF's tactics and mode of conduct. He went to Israel a few years back with a group of retired military generals from around the world to investigate the IDF's operations in Gaza. The crazy part is that after reviewing what the IDF did inside of Gaza, their operations, their tactics, their mode of warfare, their unanimous opinion, all these retired generals, I think there was even chiefs of staff from their respective armies, their unanimous opinion was that their own armies would not have been able to match or even get close to the level that Israel is at with being able to prevent civilian deaths on the battlefield. If you go back and start looking at these statistics from any other militaries, like the U.S. With operations in similar environments, fighting terrorism in Afghanistan, Iraq, I was just looking at the numbers this morning. I was shocked, and you might be shocked too. I would encourage you to go look it out. You can check out the information source links in the description below. You might be shocked to find out just how many civilian deaths occur in urban warfare like this, especially dealing with Arab populations who use civilians as their shields to prevent the bullets from hitting them. They use their civilians as human shields. And I'm not necessarily saying that these high numbers of civilian deaths are the fault of the armies going in and taking out these terrorists. I think each situation is definitely different, has its unique differences. But when dealing with scenarios where you have young soldiers going into densely populated Arab cities like the IDF operating in Jenin, where every step they take, there could be an IED, or at every corner and rooftop, there could be a terrorist with machine guns, it is extremely difficult and almost impossible to completely avoid civilian deaths. And by the way, Israel is so good at avoiding hitting civilians, avoiding killing innocent bystanders, the Palestinian civilians inside of these places, that actually the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, General Martin Dempsey, made a statement after the 2014 conflict with Gaza. What he said, it's pretty astounding. He said, quote, Israel went to the extraordinary lengths to limit collateral damage and civilian casualty. The general was so impressed with Israel's operation, with Israel's mode of tactics, that he actually dispatched a team of officers to go to Israel and learn lessons from the IDF that could be applied to U.S. military forces. Now, all this goes to show that those who have common sense and those who don't let politics cloud their judgment can clearly see that Israel actually may be the best military in the world at fighting terrorism in urban settings while avoiding civilian casualties. Unfortunately, there are those who do not have common sense and are also blinded by their Israel hatred, like the UN Secretary General, who criticized Israel this week, saying that Israel used excessive force and that, quote, the use of airstrikes is inconsistent with the conduct of law enforcement operations. What I'm wondering is, how can he say that Israel used excessive force when the IDF accomplished their goals of getting to and taking out the terrorists in the Jenin refugee camp without killing any civilians? This is yet, unfortunately, another example of when Israel hatred and anti-Semitism are stronger than the common sense in the international community. Guys, we'll get back to the show in just 1 second, but first, Israel's heartland is in trouble. Right now, there are 15 illegal Arab structures being built every single day in Judea and Samaria. That's 105 per week, 450 per month, and more than 5,000 every single year. At this moment, there are more than 100,000 illegal Arab houses sitting in Area C, mostly on Israeli state land, taking over Israel's biblical heartland. This illegal secret takeover of Judea and Samaria is well-funded, well-coordinated, and 100% dedicated to creating a terrorist-controlled Palestinian state on Israel's prophetic mountains. What can we do to stop this illegal land takeover? At the Greening Israel Project, we are in the midst of our 10,000 tree summer project to stop the Israeli takeover by those who hate Israel. With every tree that is planted in Judea and Samaria, we can do our part to help Israel claim back their homeland. On top of that, planting trees restores the land physically and fulfills biblical prophecy. Help us reach our 10,000 tree campaign goal by July 25th, 2023, and be a part of stopping the enemies of Israel from taking over Israel's heartland. To plant a tree today, go to greeningisrael.com or click the link in the description below. Israel is doing such a good job at fighting terrorism right now, and actually this story that just came in really illustrates the point at how much the IDF is on their toes right now with the terrorism level, threat level, the way it is right now. So just like an hour ago, if that, maybe not even that, and what I would call a miraculous event. The IDF just stopped what would have been a deadly terror attack. This was at the Neve Tzuf checkpoint here in Samaria. A terrorist was traveling in his vehicle with an explosive device and also an improvised rifle. He was on his way to carry out a terror attack. The IDF soldiers, the vehicle was passing this post where the IDF soldiers were. They noticed the vehicle and sensed something suspicious about it, so they stopped the car. The soldiers told the driver to get out of the vehicle. The terrorist jumped out, tossed a grenade at the soldiers, and then opened fire with his weapon. Thankfully, the IDF returned fire very, very quickly, eliminating the terrorists. And as far as I know, right now, there have been no soldiers injured in this incident. The head of the Benjamin Regional Council, Israel Gantz, posted a message just a few minutes later stating, quote, "A few minutes ago, the IDF soldiers eliminated an armed terrorist who arrived at the Neve Tzuf checkpoint from Nachleel. The terrorist was armed with an explosive device and an improvised rifle and was going to harm soldiers and civilians. Our soldiers shot and killed him, and with that, they prevented a terror attack. Thank God. Thank you to the IDF commanders and soldiers for the great response." Yes, we also say thank God. We continue to pray for the safety of the state of Israel. We ask you to continue to pray for Israel. And thank God that Israel's army is doing an incredible job and has been largely successful in fighting terror in Judea and Samaria. Thank God that there were not any civilian deaths in the mission going into Jenin. We also thank God for protecting the IDF soldiers as they went in. Please continue to pray for the family of the soldier that was killed in that operation. Guys, we need to stand for what is right, not for what the world said is right about Israel, not for what they claim that Israel is doing all these horrible things. No matter how much the world slams the state of Israel, we as Christians need to stand for the truth and what the Bible says about Israel. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, hit that like button, helps throw us into the YouTube algorithm, and also leave that comment. We love interacting with you there. Guys, remember, as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.